Hello, everybody, and today I feel I've got a little bit of a banger for you. We're going to have a little bit of chat about the electric state.
Oh, he got me in the hammock!
We were built to work, but never for ourselves. Our destiny isn't theirs to decide.
Now, the electric state is a movie that's just come out on Netflix that was taken by a book and grabbed by Netflix and turned into a movie. Now, I was really excited about it when I seen the trailer when it first came out a couple of months ago, to the point where I even did a trailer review on it. And the excitement that I had just from seeing that trailer review of, obviously a robot apocalypse against the world, and even better, set in the 1990s era. Now, the main stars in this one is Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. As Chris Pratt is playing like an ex-soldier for the humans that, might have crossed over and joined the robot side. And Millie Bob Brown playing a girl that's lost her family and doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. And quickly, I'd just like to thank you all for liking and watching my videos, and any new watchers, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get stuck into it. Now, originally when I seen this trailer, it had me very excited because I originally thought it was going to be like an apocalyptic action movie where you got to see a lot of fighting and a lot of action sequences. Whereas, obviously now I've watched it and I've seen it, there was not a lot of fighting and action sequences, which what I thought that would be in there. So I was a little bit disappointed on that, but you can tell that Netflix has definitely stepped up their game in making their movies now. Yeah, so in doing my research, I found out that Netflix actually spent $320 million on making this movie. Now, to me, seems like quite a lot of money, seeing as these days, some movies like the movie The Companion, I'm pretty sure was only made on $90 million. But a lot of humans, I guess, were using this, whereas this was a lot of special effects, graphics, and robots had to be made, obviously. And yeah, even though $320 million doesn't actually get you, honestly, a good story, it does get you a good watch. Like, yeah, the graphics, the robots, the locations, the alternate universe set in the 1990s is really cool, and they went to a lot of effort to put in the special details to make it feel like it was the 1990s. And then with all movies, I feel these days, it takes a little bit to obviously get into the main story that they have, set out for the movie. Whereas this one it jumped into it really quick. Like, it almost made you want to go back and rewatch the start so you could just like catch all the little bits that you might have missed. And of course, the two main stars really are Millie Bob Brown and Chris Pratt. There are a lot of other actors in here that you don't really get to see, you only get to hear their voices. Like Woody Harrelson, for one, I know that he's in here, and I could actually tell which voice he was, which was actually pretty cool. Alright, so let me tell you a little bit about the story before we get chatting about the actual movie itself. Now, the story goes pretty much set in an alternate 1990 universe. First off, we'll get going with Millie Bob Brown's character. She obviously has family, mum, dad, and a younger brother. Well, the younger brother happens to be pretty much a genius, smarter than Einstein, and he even knows it. And there are sort of inklings along the way at the start of what's actually going to happen, but in all honesty, it's a pretty predictable movie, but it's still a good watch. So yeah, after the start, and you see Millie Bob Brown's character with all her family and her brother and stuff. Next thing, it cuts to a couple of scenes with Chris Pratt, and they're fighting robots, because the robots were made in like their 1950s or something like that, and then just after a certain amount of time, just obviously had enough and wanted their own lives.
As of today, we are at war with the robot population, and any U.S. citizen harboring a robot will be met with charges of treason.
And that's when it started, the robot uprising. And a lot of people got killed, a lot of robots got hurt, until a fella stepped in and built these sentient robots that you control by, pretty much putting a helmet over your head and then you just control the robot. And then he sent them out, and pretty much the battles were over in a couple of weeks after that. But in all this process, in the wars and all this, Millie Bob Brown's character actually lost both her parents and her little brother. Or supposedly lost her little brother, she was told. The next thing you know, Millie Bob Brown's character's in sort of like, I'm guessing, a halfway house because she's a foster child and she doesn't really like being a foster child and keeps playing up and being naughty and getting into a lot of trouble. To the point where she even has an ankle bracelet on to monitor what she's doing at all times. And that's where you see, I feel, that the movie, like, it has its little hidden jabs at the world today, like the disconnection between people with the outside world, really, that we're all realistically stuck inside, just want to be in a computer or in a better reality instead of actually being in reality itself. Even though life sometimes sucks, sometimes it's better just to be in reality than stuck in an alternate reality where you think everything is going to be good. And once you see Millie Bob Brown's character really just doesn't want to be a part of the world, that's discontinued or, discommunicated from everyone else. Everyone puts on there, even at school, they put these helmets on just to do learning and stuff like that. And that's pretty crazy. So the next thing you know, you cut to Millie Bob Brown's at home and she's about to go to bed and she hears some noises outside. She goes outside to find a little robot in the trash. And the thing with robots in their time is if you harbour a robot or know a robot, you're going to go to jail or get in trouble yourself.
Any idea?
Here's a little quiz for you guys. What American sitcom did this fella star in from 1989 to 1998?
What the state would do to me if they found a freaking bot in my...
So she runs away from it, tries to hide, but the robot chases her down and finds her. And it ends up that the robot knows her somehow, but she doesn't know how. And after, a little bit of miscommunication and walking around and showing stuff, Millie Bob Brown's character works out that this robot happens to somehow have the brain of her little brother that she thought was dead.
You're my special friend.
So next thing you know, it's time for her to set out on a journey to find where her little brother is. And that sends her all the way into the exclusion zones where they have all the robots kept, where she's not meant to be or humans aren't meant to be, because it could start another war between the humans and the robots. If a human was found in the exclusion zone, it would break a treaty of some sort. And that's where she gets to find the Chris Pratt character after he's left the army, from not wanting to be in the army anymore because he didn't think it was the right thing to do to go around and kill all the robots after he was saved by a robot.
Took your freaking time, didn't you?
So these guys team up, go into the exclusion zone and try and track down her little brother. And that's basically it, guys. Millie Bob Brown's character and Chris Pratt, they just pretty much go looking for her little brother until eventually they find him in not the way that she would expect. And yeah, that's pretty much the storyline, guys. So now I'd just like to have a little bit of a chat with you about the movie itself and what I thought about it, my opinion. Well, originally I was very excited to see Electric State when I seen the trailer, because the trailer misled me into thinking it was going to be obviously an action movie when it wasn't. But after watching it, it's still not a bad watch. You can tell where Netflix has definitely spent that $320 million in. It may not be the best storyline, but it keeps you there watching because you want to see what happens, or you want to see the next scene in case something might happen good with the robots, which they do, trust me. There are some very good scenes that have the robot fighting, or I like the scenery in these movies, like the attention to detail they do, like to the backgrounds, or even to make it feel like it is the 1990s, because it ends up that once Chris Pratt's character leaves the army, he becomes a little bit of an outcast and travels to the exclusion zones and collects a lot of things that a lot of people in the new world don't actually or can't get anymore because they're only located in the exclusion zones. And I'm not talking drugs or anything like crazy like that. I'm just talking silly stuff like Big Mouth Bass, the old ones where you put batteries in and they used to talk, or Eskies, or lunch boxes and Twinkies and all that sort of stuff that that people really get nostalgic for. Then another one I like to add in is how it's come along with the CGI these days, and the interaction between humans and the CGI characters.
Oh my god. This is crazy.
You can remember back in the day, I remember when they were doing the Harry Potter and I think it was the Chamber of Secrets where they brought Dobby in, and Daniel Radcliffe kept talking about he was having troubles with it because it was just a tennis ball on a stick, and that's what he had to talk to Dobby. And now to look at it, how I don't feel there was even a tennis ball on a stick in this one, but the interaction between the humans and the CGI characters, how it's actually really come along a long way, and it's pretty awesome to see. And I'd just like to mention a couple of casts that are in this one as well, other than Millie Bob Brown and Chris Pratt, like Woody Harrelson. He only plays a voice actor in this one, but he plays the character of Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut.
Now, Mr. Peanut is sort of he's pretty much the president for the robot side. He's the main guy. He's the leader. When they had the revolution, he was the guy at the front fighting for them. Even possibly maybe killing humans. I didn't go into really details about that, but Mr. Peanut was the guy. And Woody Harrelson plays him very well in this movie, even though it's just his voice. It seems to me Woody Harrelson sort of came through into Mr. Peanut. Maybe they CGI'd him to Mr. Peanut, not too sure. But it's just funny to see. As well as you got another funny one was Anthony Mackie was in this one, and he played Herm.
Hey, Lemonhead, you looking for trouble?
And that actually had to be Chris Pratt's pretty much sidekick robot buddy. And once you get to see those two in action, it's pretty cool. Herm's got a little bit of attitude, and he likes to punch on, which is very funny to see. And he's like a construction bot. He's got various different sizes that he can go into, but it's sort of like an exoskeleton. He has to have the exoskeleton go into before he can upgrade to the next size.
The HRM component system. I've got a body size for every job.
And you get to see him go from real tiny to real big in the fights, and it's pretty cool to see. Anthony Mackie did a real good job on that voice, to the point where I didn't even know it was Anthony Mackie till I looked it up. Right, another one we got in here is Brian Cox. He's one of my main favourite actors from back in the day. He's been in so much stuff. And this one he plays Popfly, which is a robot that has a baseball bat and as well shoots out baseballs, which is pretty funny to see. And he's like one of the best fighters that they have, apparently, even though he's a little bit twitchy and, you know, on the fritz every now and then. But, you know, Brian Cox, you've seen him in heaps of stuff from back in the day, like from comedies to actions. Like, I remember in Braveheart, he was Mel Gibson's uncle. He was Uncle Argyle out of Braveheart, as well as, like, you know, he was Stryker out of X-Men. Like, Brian Cox has got a variety of characters that he's done that, like, is just awesome to see. Like, from, yeah, comedies, actions, dramas. So, like, the fella's done a bit of everything, and I've got to love him for it. Now, another voice actor we got in this one is Hank Azaria, and he plays Perplexo, which is a little... It's like a robot magician that has his own little, like, stage that's actually around him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're captured.
Now, you would actually remember his voice mainly from The Simpsons. He plays Mo Sislak, Chief Wiggum, Superintendent Chalmers, Snake. It's a lot of characters or voices that he does in The Simpsons. As well as you would have seen him in movies such as, like, The Birdcage. Now, that is an old movie, but it's a very funny movie. It's got Robin Williams in it. If you haven't seen that one, go check out The Birdcage. As well as you would have seen him in Godzilla, Mystery Men, The Smurfs, 1 and 2. As well as you would have seen him at Night at the Museum. He's a really good actor as well. He does a lot of voices, and as well as he's a comedian. If you haven't heard him, go check out Hank Azaria. He's actually a really cool guy. And I feel Millie Bob Brown and Chris Pratt did really well in this. There was a couple of spots where I felt Chris Pratt might have been laying it a bit too much on, but I think that's just what his character does, or that's what he just goes for normally. Other than that, it was a really good movie. Like, not the best storyline, but it was a good watch. Like, I don't know, maybe you just go out and check it out for yourself. You might have a different opinion, but to me, it suckered me in with the trailer. I thought it was going to be all action and stuff, and then when you get in there, it's more of a, you know, family drama, trying to find your brother sort of thing. Like, yeah. So, yeah, let's have a chat about the little things that I feel that they're having digs at in this movie. Like, the whole discommunication from the world. Like, realistically, everyone in this whole movie has one of these helmets on and can control another robot or... Just quickly, guys, I feel that in all this movie, this scene actually got me particularly, you know, at the heart one of the most, because it feels like they were trying to say in this movie how much we are, you know, discommunicated with the outside world, and this is how we could end up turning into. Pretty much what it states in this one is that one side of your brain can go to work while one side of your brain can have fun, which I would feel in the long run might end up causing your brain more trouble than what it would give you. Like, yeah, it's all good to live in a world where everything is perfect and that's the way you want it, but it's not realistic, because then when eventually you come back to the real world, you wouldn't be able to handle it because it's not the way that you would thought it would be. Well, that's how I felt that it was coming across, what digs that we're having about it. One thing, they do know how to put their music in their movies. I actually really enjoyed some of the music that you got to hear in this movie. It was a lot older stuff, but it was still pretty good. There was one scene in particular that I really liked. It was after everyone was having a really bad time, and there's a little robot in here called Mr. Taco, and he actually plays the piano. And everyone's really sad, and then next thing I can hear it, because I love me a bit of Poison, but Mr. Taco starts playing Every Rose Has Its Thorn on the piano. Now that was actually really beautiful to hear. I can't help it. I seem to really get hung up on the small details in movies these days, like the music or just the backgrounds that they have. I don't really even care about the storyline. I look at everything else that's around it. Like, the detail that they put into the robots was pretty cool as well. Like,
Where the heck did that come from?
different hair robots as well as like drum robots, like construction bots, I didn't see any fighting bots, but then, you know, you had like what it would be at a robot apocalypse stage where you get to see the scavenger bots that would obviously go around and rip apart any good bots just to make them more whole or just so they can stay alive a bit longer. Yeah, so overall, guys, I feel this movie may not have the best story, or to me doesn't have the best story, but it's got the graphics, it's got the visuals. It had me there with a $320 million budget, I feel. Not the fact that it had, like, the storyline, it just had me there for the visuals and the hope of the battles that they had, which they do, and they are really good to see. But as well, like, it just comes down to the fact that I think this movie was just trying to portray across that everyone's getting a bit too disconnected from the world these days, and maybe we need to get back out in reality and just, you know, live once again. Alright guys, and that's pretty much about it. That movie's called The Electric State, and that's on Netflix right now. And that stars Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt and a lot of other actors, but you won't get to see them, you just hear their voices pretty much. Now, I would also like to say thank you to everyone for liking and watching my videos. Muchly appreciated to all you. And all you new watchers, don't forget to like, subscribe. Or if you like my review, or you've actually watched the movie Electric State and you have something you want to chat about, leave it in the comments and I'll definitely have a chat with you about it. Now, thank you for watching again, and I'll catch you on the next one.